Well, it's time. We finally got our first spin-off series for the Batman, and the Penguin series has arrived with episode 1. And honestly, it was great. This Batman universe is already setting out to be amazing. Like, I didn't think we needed a Penguin series, but I think it did such a great job showing Gotham, showing how it looks in this kind of dark, gritty tone, looking at the aftermath of what the Riddler did, and setting it into, the crime family. Like, it's cool to watch the mobster part of this. Something we kind of got in the Gotham theories, but not really to this extent. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes as we follow the Penguin as he makes his uprise in the criminal underworld. And I think it's gonna be pretty cool. Now, in this video, we'll talk about some of the Easter eggs and references I noticed, how it connects to the first Batman series, and just overall thoughts on this episode alone. So when we start off with the beginning of the episode, it obviously takes place after the Batman. They have references to the mayor being killed, which was the first victim from the Riddler. We have the Riddler flooding the entire city reference, and we also get to see the aftermath of the city being destroyed, even in the subway. It's cool to see that the city is still kind of destroyed after this event. We have Falcone being dead, which is what this series takes place after, which instead of the Penguin shooting him, it was the Riddler. And of course, they have to reference the Batman saving people, because we can't have a Batman series without at least one mention of him. But it was great to see how the series started off with the Penguin breaking into Falcone's little hidden spot where he had blackmail on people and a bunch of jewels, playing Alberto Falcone like no tomorrow, being able to manipulate him to make him think that he's not actually trying to take over. It's cool to see. It's great to see that this person who's kind of like in the lower part of the underworld, we're gonna watch him rise up and become that crime lord that we know from the comics. And it's great because even in this beginning scene, as he kills Alberto and he goes into him trying to hide the body, we find the kids ripping apart his car, trying to take his rims, which is a reference to Jason Todd stealing the wheels off the Batmobile. At least that's the first thing I thought of, and what other reference could it be? Now, one of the things I just remembered is that we call him Oscobb in this series, because it sounded better than Oswald Cobblepot. I think they should have kept Oswald Cobblepot, and when we go to see his mom later, she does call him Oswald, so I feel like his name is Oswald Cobblepot. We just haven't gotten to that point yet, because people will just refer to him as Oz Cobb. Not a fan of that. I like the more ridiculous name. But we'll see. The Batman Matt Reeves universe has talked about being more grounded, how they don't want all this weird stuff, but I feel like Clayface would fit perfectly, Mr. Freeze. Like, there's a lot of weird characters with powers that I would love to see and would perfectly fit in. You just have to mix in that real world aspect of things with the kind of more weird Gotham rogues that Batman has, because honestly, we look at Batman's rogue, they're weird. They have so many weird powers, like you do of the crime bosses, like the Maronis, the Falcones, Penguin. There are so many other bigger villains I can't wait to see. Now, while we go through it, and the Penguin is going to try to set up the criminal underworld to get this new stash, we get reference of the Odessa mob, which is the Bratva, the Russian mob, who all care about, money and drugs. That's their whole goal. So it's great to see another mob family get thrown into this. And we get, of course, the Maroni family that's been referenced, which is a long-time Batman crime family that runs Gotham with the Falcones. And Sal Maroni is the one that splashed acid on Harvey Dent, making him Two-Face. So it's great to see that both of them are being referenced, because they're dead. They set up the rivalry there. They set up the gang war that's coming, and then Cobblepot will rise to the top. Now, when the Penguin was getting rid of Alberto's body, he was going through his phone, and in the calendar, it says Gotham Knights, which is a reference to the Bat family because of the Gotham Knights, the video game Gotham Knights, and then the questionable CW show Gotham Knights that I don't even know who watched. Now, obviously, the CW show was just a reference to everything else, but, gotta give it some credit to at least have the name. Now, when Sophia Falcone enters the game, she's already that kind of ruthless mob boss. You can kind of see it in her persona. And then Penguin references that she came from Arkham, a reference to her being batshit crazy. In the comics, she was also known as Hangman, a serial killer, which first appeared in The Long Halloween. And then in this universe, she gets called the Hangman as well. So it's showing that in the Batman universe, she has been in Arkham, she has been a serial killer, but now she's been released. But that doesn't change the fact that now she's going to be more in a ruthless killing spree, especially after everything that happened this episode. Because we had Sophia already outsmarting the Penguin, knowing that he's lying about something about her brother. Penguin was setting up the plan that Alberto told him. So it's interesting to see how she's already seeing through him, even though Penguin had his own plans all along. And I think that's one of the things that's going to go really well with this series, is kind of having the crime bosses bounce off each other. One has one plan, they kind of know what's going on, but they don't. And they're all trying to outsmart each other as they rise to the top. Like with the Penguin, he's telling Sophia about how Alberto went on a bender and how he'll be back eventually, which obviously is so not true, and she sees right through that, and which is why she goes after him later in the episode. But we'll get to that when we get to that, because then afterwards, We get them in the subway. We get to see a Riddler mask, which is obviously a reference to the Riddler. You know, having those supporters following the criminals of Gotham, which is seen with the Joker and other villains throughout the comics. There's a sign that says Burnside, which is where Batgirl resides in the comics. So cool little reference to that. And obviously they have the other Gotham districts as well when they're going through that. And it's interesting the Penguin kind of try to hide the fact of what he's doing from his mom. As soon as she realizes what he did, she is motivating him to rise to the top, to make the city his. And it looks like she also kind of has like dementia or something. So she is having her own few problems. So it does make me feel like this man who cares about his mother, something's bad's gonna happen to her. Well, because nothing ever comes good when you try to rise to the top with the crime families of Gotham. When the Penguin goes to Blackgate, that is the prison, one of the prisons in the DC universe that houses the non-criminally insane. It's interesting to see how he starts the gang war by giving Sal Maroni his ring back that was on Alberto Falcone's finger, which he makes it seem like he's trying to leave the Falcone family, but instead he's just pushing both families against each other so that they will destroy one another and he can take their spot. And it's great to see how they're kind of setting this up, because when Sophia goes after the Penguin and captures him, it looks like she already has it all figured out. The Penguin killed her brother. She kills one of the kids because the Penguin's like, I didn't do it, he's lying. And obviously she doesn't care. She's a ruthless killer. She's just gonna blast the kid. I was not expecting Penguin to have it all planned out, with Vic driving a car in with the dead body of Alberto in there with his finger cut off, showing that the ring is missing. It says payback, was showing the Maroni family is getting payback, all setting up this plot to have the crime families go against one another, which I thought this was really cool, and I like how they set this up. This episode was all exposition. It set up the whole story, what was going to go on. It's all about Penguin's rise to the top, the crime families going after one another, and I'm really excited to see what other kind of crime families we're going to see, what other villains might get set up, and also seeing if we're possibly going to get more references to Batman and Bruce Wayne, which I'm hoping we go in this series with more references than just the one where he saves the day from the Riddler attack, because I feel like that would be really cool. Plus, it would just kind of focus on this universe being connected. One of the things I saw too from people talking about is that the Penguin actually has somewhat of a soft heart, because Vic has kind of a disability as well, as he's stuttering and can't speak clearly. The Penguin took empathy on him and he brought him into the fold, because they both have disabilities, understands that, and even showing that when he was going to go sit in the subway, he didn't sit down in the disability because he refuses to show that he has one. And when people make fun of him, well, he snaps. That's why he killed Alberto. So it really shows how the Penguin is going to be kind of sympathetic in this, but also he's going to be that more brutal mobster that we see and we know him to be. So I'm very interested in seeing where this series is going to go. I'm really excited. It was a lot of fun, and this might be a little bit of a shorter breakdown than I normally do, but I'm excited to see where the series goes. So let me know, what did you think of the first episode of The Penguin? What other Easter eggs or references did you notice that I missed? I'm curious, because I feel like there were some that might have just went over my head, and I'm always excited to learn what I missed or what you guys caught, or even having different meanings to things that I saw that you might have thought differently. So let me know, and hey, stay tuned, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot, and you get to stay up to date with all my DC and Marvel breakdowns. Plus, if you like anime, I do anime stuff as well. So with that, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next week when we watch another episode of The Penguin.